Once again, it's that time. Time to head back into the past and revisit a classic game to see if it's still worth playing all these years later. Today I'll be checking out Prince of Persia. Now, Prince of Persia first burst onto the scene in October 1989, created by Jordan Mechner for the Apple II. Within a year, it had been ported to the Amiga, Atari ST, and PC. As home consoles grew in popularity, the game made its way to the NES, Game Boy, and Sega Mega CD, followed by the Super Nintendo in 1992 and the Sega Genesis and Turbo Duo in 1993. A Game Boy Color version arrived 6 years later in 1999, and an updated remake called Prince of Persia Classic was released for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in 2007. The original game was a massive success thanks to its groundbreaking rotoscoped animation and tense, methodical platforming. The Super Nintendo version, which was developed by Arsis Software and published by Konami, is often considered one of the best releases, featuring 20 levels instead of the original 13, a longer 2-hour time limit to save the princess, new boss battles, and enhanced visuals. This is the version I'll be reviewing today as I dust off my cartridge and venture back into Prince of Persia. The game opens with a cutscene explaining that the Sultan of Persia has left on an expedition. While he's away, the kingdom is placed under the care of his most trusted advisor, the Grand Vizier Jafar. With the Sultan gone, Jafar sees an opportunity to seize control of the kingdom. The only thing standing between him and the throne is the Sultan's beautiful daughter, the princess. To make matters worse for Jafar, the princess has already fallen in love with a young adventurer from a foreign land. Jafar responds the way most villains do. He throws the adventurer into the Sultan's dungeons and gives the princess a terrible choice: marry him or die. Interestingly, the Japanese version includes additional footage showing the prince being beaten up by guards and dragged into the dungeon, something that was likely considered too violent for the North American release. Just like that, we're dropped onto the title screen, where you can adjust controls, continue using passwords, view best times, or try out the training mode. If you're new to the game, I highly recommend spending a few minutes in training. It gives you a good feel for the controls and types of challenges you'll be facing before jumping into the main adventure. When the game begins, you're trapped in a prison cell with what appears to be no way out. One thing I absolutely love about Prince of Persia is its sense of exploration. You're dropped into a dark, lonely prison and left to figure things out for yourself. If you head to the right, you'll spot a guard standing watch. Naturally, you'll try to approach him only to quickly realize you don't have a weapon. Before long, you're frantically mashing the buttons and wondering what went wrong. Game over. Back at the beginning, you're forced to rethink your approach. I love how the game teaches through trial and error. There's no map, no objective marker, and very little guidance. All you have is your instinct to survive and a clock that's steadily counting down from 2 hours. You're expected to discover everything on your own. Unless, of course, you're using a strategy guide. But hey, who would do that? Eventually you'll find a sword, and with it comes the realization that your only option is go back the way you came. Now, there is some backtracking throughout the game, but it's fairly minimal and never becomes a major issue since most levels are relatively short. Throughout your journey, you'll encounter countless enemies and deadly traps designed to ensure you never reach the princess in time. Skeleton warriors, armed guards, spike traps, giant saw blades, wall flames, molten lava, collapsing floors, and bottomless pits all stand between you and victory. Sometimes you'll simply forget that running into the next screen isn't always a good idea and watch helplessly as the prince plummets to his death. If you're used to games like Mario, the prince's movement can feel surprisingly stiff. You can't change direction in midair, and jumps require a bit of planning. The controls are deliberate rather than responsive, and you'll quickly learn that pressing the jump button a split second too late often means falling to your doom. Some jumps require near-perfect timing. In many situations, it's actually safer to inch your way toward the next screen rather than charging ahead at full speed while the camera transitions. And if I haven't mentioned it already, this game is extremely difficult. Combat can become especially tense when you're fighting near a giant blade or standing beside a ledge where a single mistake can send you into a pit below. There are also moments that can feel downright unfair. Sometimes you'll begin a level already falling toward lava. Like, how would I know to grab this ledge when the level first started? Other times, you'll be expected to make blind jumps into areas you can't even see. It's clear the developers wanted the players to learn through failure. Thankfully, most levels are fairly short, and many later stages include checkpoints, especially before major boss encounters. Just remember that the timer never stops. Every death and every mistake eats away at your remaining time. The puzzles are another highlight. You'll often step on a pressure plate and hear a distant door open somewhere in the level. The challenge is figuring out where that door is and how to reach it. Solving these puzzles creates a genuine sense of accomplishment that remains satisfying even to this day. The atmosphere is excellent as well. By the halfway point, you'll find yourself navigating dark underground caverns and hellish environments where the music and visuals do a fantastic job of setting the mood. The sound effects are equally impressive. Sword clashes feel impactful, and successfully blocking an enemy attack is surprisingly satisfying. The game also does a great job of introducing new challenges throughout the adventure, new environments, tougher enemies, mini-bosses, and increasingly dangerous traps ensure that things never become repetitive. Just be careful. Sometimes you'll be casually exploring and suddenly find yourself flattened by a hidden trap you didn't even notice, like being smacked in the face by a baseball bat booby trap, or walking into killer glitter. Prince of Persia demands your attention at all times. The final stages feature some particularly brutal platforming sections, like this one where you have to grab a ledge at the exact right time between these two spots. Grab too early or too late and you'll plunge directly into the spikes below. Trust me, this one took me more than a few attempts. Another difficult jump appears shortly afterward in the very same level. Thankfully, there's a checkpoint between the two. Ouch! The late game mazes can also be quite stressful as you're scrambling to activate pressure plates, figure out which gates have opened, and avoid wasting precious minutes on the clock. Oddly enough, that pressure adds to the experience. The constant countdown keeps the tension high and makes every decision feel important. If you spend too much time exploring, you can always use the password system to return to a specific level and improve your performance on a future run. By the time you finally reach Jafar, you'll have overcome some genuinely difficult challenges. The final battle itself is fairly straightforward, although it can take a few attempts to master the timing for blocking and attacking. Once you learn his patterns, you'll emerge victorious, save the princess, and put an end to Jafar's plans once and for all. Overall, Prince of Persia will take anywhere from 2 to 10 hours to complete, depending on your skill level, familiarity with the levels, and how many times you fall victim to its deadly traps. So, the big question. Is Prince of Persia on the Super Nintendo still worth playing today? Absolutely. This is one of those games that remains incredibly rewarding from start to finish. Every difficult jump, every puzzle solved, and every close call feels earned. While some of its design choices may frustrate modern players, the challenge and sense of accomplishment are still as satisfying today as they were decades ago. The password system also gives the game plenty of replay value, allowing you to revisit levels, improve your times, and see just how quickly you can rescue the princess on future attempts. I can easily recommend Prince of Persia to retro gaming fans, especially those looking for a genuine challenge. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more retro gaming content. See you next time.